Uh, Hi all. Right, since the last time, well, the last bit of recording, obviously this is just joint on, but it's been quite some time has passed. Maybe even a whole week actually, since I left this situation here. So just try to come back to understand what's going on. The Führer Brigade and these two second Panzer units are attacking this unit here. I believe they have 3-1 odds, they have 5 chip pools. This was a combat tactic reinforced battle which wasn't able to do anything for them apart from the extra combat chip. That's a chip draw, sorry. And it was reinforced battle that was in the actual support card box. Okay, so I think that's me up to date with that. So, but I just obviously double check where we were, and I'm at the position where do I want to play any combat tactics myself. So trying to remember what it was I might be wanting to do next time. Just let you have a glance at the cards that I've got in my hand just now. Yeah, so there's my hand. 7 cards, no more cards left in the draw pile. You'll see my wee sugar cube still there. Oh, that's one thing I noticed. Kharkov has any one unit move chip, something that you must place down somewhere. Well, whether there's a box for it on the map, maybe to see you've done it or not, or you just put it somewhere to remind you, rather than create your own wee sugar cubes. Okay, so there's my hand. What do I really want to do? This can deploy the 3 12-core units. And I think, I remember back to thinking at first my initial thought was maybe leave them to strategically deploy them on the next day. But then I realised I can't actually deploy them within 3 of a unit in the core. So it would let me deploy them in a better area down by R1. So maybe want to use that card. There's also a 9th infantry unit, just one, but that would deploy that. Both these combat tactics are tank battalion, which, to be honest, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I'm getting attacked. Sorry, I'm just going to check that. I've got 11. They've got 11 against 3, giving them 3-1 odds. Did play it, and we've only got infantry in the battle, so that would give us armour in the battle by using a tank battalion. And it would give 1 extra strength, so that'd be 11 against 4. Yeah, that would cut the odds to 2-1 and give me armour, actually. There's also a tank battalion on the 8-core card here. So we've got 3 tank battalion combat tactics. 8-core. Oh yeah, there was a talk about maybe trying to surround the... Well, I don't know if we can do that anymore, can we? And the other options, we've got artillery here. This is core artillery. 7 core. Probably like to activate them, I think. So, but the core artillery could be used here. Now we've also got air power here, and the British core unit has assault coordination, which doesn't help us in combat here. But if we were, there was a talk about moving a unit Bastogne. Oh yeah, that's right, I remember that. Sorry, it's been, like I say, it's been almost a week since I've done anything, so I'm just trying to come back to terms with what's going on. Okay, so there's my hand. Yeah, I think one of the thoughts at one point was activating 8-core and moving the unit out of Dinan back into here to surround the Führer Brigade. Well, that's not going to be possible now because these LVIII units have moved down to here. Oops. And of course, the other thing I was concerned about is the fact these LVIII units are here now. They can actually activate, if they activate again, go 1, 2, 3 adjacent to the Meuse. So Then I started thinking, activate the British Corps. I mean, it's a bit of a waste because it's only this unit I'm going to be able to do anything clever with. But he could move out of zone of control 1, 2. That is a road, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and behind the LVIII units to stop them being able to make that move to the Meuse. So the British Corps card's quite an important card. Not that I'd be using this in this combat as a combat tactic anyway, because it's assault coordination. Yeah, sorry to sort of go through all this, but it's just trying to bring things back to me as well. I mean, yeah, dare say I could do this off camera, but just lets you see some of my thinking. Okay, so it seems like it'd be a good call to use a tank battalion. I mean, it could use it and artillery. And yeah, and the thing is, this combat is quite important, really. I mean, it's on this unit here, and if he was retreated or worse still, eliminated, there's going to be a gap here for this Fuhrer Brigade to get up that way, you know, and possibly these 2nd Panzer units as well, if this unit gets moved back or eliminated. So it's quite an important battle, this. He's an elite infantry unit in a broken hex, so there's nothing great about the hex he's in, but elite, okay. Tank battalion sounds like a good benefit there, dropping the odds, giving him armour. Just wondering if we need artillery as well. I checked, I think the Germans have got 9 cards left. Bearing in mind the support card's still in the support card box, and it's the 58 Corps. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they've got 9 more cards left. And let's say they're going to activate, more than likely going to activate the 58th Corps before we move back to an Allied impulse, so got to consider that as well. Yeah, and this was the bit I was talking about down at Bastogne, with if I activated 8 Corps to try and get, well actually 8 Corps, well I don't have 12 Corps, do I? No, they're 10th Armoured. Yeah, but activate 8 Corps, and I mean, if I'd been clever and thinking about it, I maybe would have advanced only 2 of these infantry units into this hex, but how am I in hindsight going to look at that one? But if I could have got this unit around adjacent to this, you know, that's a full stacked hex. Oh, that's something I was going to look at. Can I overstack a hex deliberately, make an attack, and then at the end of the turn, could I do this? Could I move this unit into here? Now there's then 4 units in this stack. So could I then overstack that hex, go into a combat, and then at the end of the combat, I know that if that stays the same, I would then have to eliminate one of the units to bring the stacking limits back. I get the feeling I can do that, and it was a temptation, because I can't get round. I'm pretty sure I looked at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movement into there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, I can't get round adjacent. Both, I think it's the fact both, and coming this way, it's 1, 2, 3, and again it's an R3 movement into the woods hex here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I can't get adjacent with that 9th Armoured unit. But could I do what I said by moving them into one of these hexes? And the whole point of this is to make an attack on the unit and use that British Corps card as assault coordination, bringing these units in to the battle. I think that's probably not worth it, isn't it? Plus, I'm probably going to need that British Corps card to move. I think it'd probably be more sensible moving. Yeah. Just going to have a look though. It was something that crossed my mind, you know. Yeah, okay. Not quite sure what I was thinking there. Then I think it's maybe with the that whole German, when the German movement rules that they can overstack temporarily, but it is within movement. So I would be able to move that unit into there to overstack it within the movement step. But as soon as I moved into the combat step, I would then have to bring the stack in order. So I wouldn't be able to do that. So which kind of makes sense, I suppose. Okay, well that's made my mind up about that one then. Well, it was probably not worthy of thinking anyway. So okay, I think I've decided on what to do. I think Tank Battalion is a good play. Um, I had thought about just using 8 core because I'm not so sure I'm going to move 8 core. But I also noticed that that unit outside Bastogne took a he took a step loss. And I thought, well, to be honest, I could replace two replacement points. He jumps from a 2 to a 4 strength. I mean, he's the only one that's damaged. Well, apart from the unit way down, but he's in low supply, so I can't replace a point on him, unfortunately. So I then thought I'll just use this for Tank Battalion. And I know I said there was a 9th Infantry Division unit in the Reserve Units box, but I don't think I'm going to play Artillery as well. I think I'm just going to play the Tank Battalion, and I'll keep that, and I could use that to deploy the 9th Infantry Division unit, but the fact it's only one unit, maybe not. I mean, maybe even should chuck it in as artillery here. So I'm definitely going to play that Tank Battalion. Yeah. They've still got, like I say, Germans still got 9 cards in their deck, so it's not too much. We've got, well, 6, 7. I'm playing this one, so I would drop the odds to 2 to 1 because that gives that guy 4 strength, and it's 11 against 4. So, and it gives them armor, which is quite important as well because they've got combined arms. We have as well now, so 2 to 1 odds is better. Just wondering, just last we thought about this artillery. Although, and then of course the other possibility is air power, chuck some air power in, but I don't know. 2 to 1 odds, 5 chip pools here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. I was swithering back and forth there about the artillery, so hope I don't regret it. So just going to stick with that. Okay, so 2 to 1 odds, 5 chip pools. Right, let's get the chits. Well, great result in the end. The first chip was a attacker or defender artillery. I was like, oh no, don't tell me. And then of course I got another one the very last chit as well, and I thought artillery would have been brilliant here. Can I regret maybe not playing it now, because that would have been on our 2A hits, wouldn't it? Oh no, it's a D-1, that one, so it would have been another hit to them, but we're not taking it in anyway, because we then got Defender Adjacent, which we've got, and then Defender Away, which was perfect, which I am. Yeah, so it turns out to be an A1. If I'd played the artillery, it would have been an A2. So yeah, that would have been quite nice. But A1, I think we're happy with that, and we've still got the card in our hand to decide, a possible artillery in another combat, or deploying that 9th Division unit if we feel that's a better option. Oh, and sorry, just before we go, the front and the combat engineers was 6 to 1. So yeah, so one hit to them, which they have to take as a step. Oh, this is. Oh no, it's not. I thought these were 2 1-step units actually, but they're not. So let me remind myself. yeah, so it's, what is it, a 4-step unit, then a 3 or 2-step unit. Well, there's a 2-step unit in here and a 2-step unit in here. But then it tie breaks into the most steps. So it's that, as this infantry, you know what I mean? That's exactly what you would do yourself as well. So, yeah. Oops, it is. Give a second. Okay, so yeah, 1 hat we reduced that infantry unit. So, yeah, all good. No harm done. So I think that worked out quite well. Okay, so that was that combat done. Now I need to remind myself again. We must have checked this guy first, didn't we? Because he's selected number 3. So you must have done a check, and then the Fury Brigade done a check there. So these guys are both attacked. What do we get down to now? Because there's quite a few. We've got Unit 8. Okay, that's over here. I think he's next in line. Unit 3, Unit 7, yeah. Unit 8 to check here. It's maybe not going to happen because it's 3 against 3, but he's in a forest. So it's 3 against 4, isn't it? Right. No assault coordination, and they have no reserves, have they? No, they don't have. So this unit's a first SS unit as well, and it's out of fuel, so it can't help. And this is a dispersed 58 core unit. So 3 against 4 doesn't work. I think we've got a dice roll on this one though. This is the next unit, Unit 14. That's 3 against 3. So 1-to-1 odds with no modifiers. Find out where we are here. So 1-to-1 odds, no modifiers. Well, I'm saying no modifiers. You're just making that up, Grant. I mean, there's no assault coordination. No, that's relevant. There's no reserves, right? Yeah, it's 1-to-1. There's no changes to the 1-to-1. Yeah. But is there a modifier? There could be. Attackers include elite. No, defenders elite anyway. Army good. So yeah, support card. Reinforced battle. Can we reinforce a battle there? Possibly, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this unit can come and reinforce. 1, 2, 3 into there. Oh, what am I talking about? Hold on. For some reason I'm thinking about defending. Right. Right, it needs to be from the same army. Well, he is from the same army, isn't he? We're attacking here. When attacking, a unit is eligible to reinforce a battle if in the same army as at least one attacking unit or already adjacent. Okay, so he is in the same army, so that is applicable. So, right, just to get a modifier. Right, that's a -1 modifier on this attack roll, and we had just 1-to-1 odds, so 1-to-1 with a -1. Hey, so pretty unlikely, yeah. So it's a 7, cancel less than 3-1, yeah. Okay. So not happening. I think there's one more to look at, but I think it's just going to be a glance at the attack on Dinon, which is how much strength? It's 4 or 5, is it? 5 strength. But there's 5 and another 3, is it? Yeah. So we've got 8 strength in Dinon. And then we get a +1 as well for being adjacent to supplied allied unit, so that's not going to happen. Right, hold on. These guys already made an attack though, didn't they? So this guy... Well, hang on though, it's still maybe... Well, it's 5 against 5, isn't it? So there's 5 in there. This guy could make a check on this, unless this guy already made the check. Or did he check here? Well, you know what, it doesn't matter. I need to look back in the video. because it would be if it was allowed a check on here, it would be 5 against 6 anyway, because he's adjacent to a supplied allied unit. I think actually that's where we did make the check, isn't it? So okay, doesn't matter. That's fine. That's done. Okay. Okay, so that's all the attack checks considered. As for bouncing back to reserve, well, this is the only unit that's not done anything, I think. I feel like I'm missing somebody. There was the 2 infantry units. One's in here. He's now reduced. 2 air units because we've destroyed one of them. And only 2 infantry units because we've destroyed one of them. And the 3 second panzer units, 1, 2, right, and 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is the one that's not done in. So now, no bouncing back to reserves, but this guy can actually build an IP. Oh, that's another wee thing. Playing the what was the rules I read? German solo in Kharkov. So it's this sort of situation where German solo means we're playing the Germans defending and the Russians are playing the AI. Like, so similar case here. The Russians only get to build an IP on 1 unit, which I noticed was different. Whereas here, if all these units, if there was multiple units that didn't make a move, we could IP them all. You want to build an IP on 1 unit or 1 stack anyway, that didn't do anything. So that's another you change. I remembered the. Okay, so we've still got 58 core card and the support card box. So let's get that done. Let's get this finished off, and then that'll maybe create another video for you to watch because it's been a while. Okay, so activate all units in the 58 core. Now, what have we got here? 2 116 Panzer units. The other one's been eliminated, which is good. Oh yeah, it was 47th. And then we've got this unit, I think he's not on his own, isn't there? 2 of them. We've got somebody here. Yeah, that's the other one of them. I think there's 2 of them. So he's dispersed, so all he's going to do is remove his dispersal. So we've got the 2 116 and the 560. Now we do have this unit in the reserve units box, so we've got to remember him. Again, it feels like somebody's missing, but we have eliminated one. One's in the reserves, one's dispersed. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, they've not been marked out of fuel yet. They've not had fuel issues, so. Okay, so no roadblocks adjacent. Army objective still in Dinan, so they need to reach that. So just straight forward onto some movement. I'll have a wee look. Okay, movement method 3, cause surround. Right, I know this guy is sitting in Houghton, and I've not looked into the possibilities that if he does move out, but he can go 1, 2, 3, surrounding the unit in Marche. So if he did that, is there an issue with Houghton in particular? Yeah, I think there is a problem still leaving Houghton. I can't remember all the ins and outs before. We've probably looked at this before, but a trace from Houghton 1, 2, 3, 4 into this hex, and then down here. These are allied bridges through this detachment. Remember, that doesn't count, and then away, basically. So yeah, it does look like there's still a problem there. I think this has maybe been here a while, isn't it? So, doesn't look like he will be able to do the surround thing. Whether he can make any other move or not. Probably not. Yeah, just looking at movement method 4 again to try and open the supply line for these units. Remember don't remember again. These two units were okay, but these two, the Führer Brigade and these two, weren't able to trade supply at the minute. I don't think I can help them still with any of these units though. I think they need to be able to reach Houghton. That's the target. These two guys can go 1, 2, 3, 4 into Houghton and then trade supply. The rest of them aren't getting there. That's the hex that they need to get to. But me moving any of the 58 core units, it's not helping them at all. I don't think. So yeah, got to move on from that. So movement methods 5 to 9. I've got the 1 infantry unit here. This is probably restricted, but we'll have a look. Just looking here, that have I blundered somewhere? I mean, it looks to me like if I talked about this unit moving out of Houghton, that Allied supply was traceable. Surely Allied supply is traceable to La Roche right now. You know, 1, 2 onto this road. Is it because something's changed down here? Or am I making some kind of blunder with my checking of supply? Right, hang on, I'm going to have to go and maybe look at what's happened. Well, I mean, none of these guys have picked anything up, so I suppose I could maybe go with that, right? Can't cross German bridges, but there's nothing to say that we can't go 1, 2, 3 into that. In fact, 1, 2 into this hex. Trace across this Allied bridge. We're on a road, trace across this Allied bridge. Trace through a detachment. Okay, it's been a week, but I'm pretty sure that works, doesn't it? Yeah. Detachments do not block the tracing of Allied supply, even through the hex occupied by the detachment marker, except at the specific times defined in 15.21, and that's like during the end of the day phase and during step 1 of the supply phase. So yeah, we can do that. So it looks, and I suppose the reason I've stopped there is because movement method, was it 6 maybe? I've moved my place there. Enter an empty town, an empty German town to which Allied supply can be traced. So now I don't know if you can do it or not. I need to check, but this unit moving 1, 2, 3 back into La Roche might actually stop supply traceable to them both. I'm just a bit concerned that I mean, we had a unit in La Roche at one point, but that's maybe a while back. Maybe it's because things have changed down at Bastogne, because the Germans had this area for a wee while, and maybe that's why there wasn't Allied supply traceable. Yeah, it's bothering me enough to go and have to have a look, I'm afraid. Right, okay, I've been away having a look, and I was going to start getting on at you guys for not letting me know where I had left that La Roche Allied supply traceable to. However, you won't have seen this video yet because I think the move was this unit moving from here to here adjacent to St Hubert with movement method 5 infantry move, just moving adjacent to an Allied VP hex, so he doesn't need to be heading towards his army objective. It was just one of the infantry moves. So never really considered that he might be holding La Roche with supply trace, but he is, because 1, 2, we can't trace into here while he's there to get across this bridge. We can't trace through this German bridge. But as soon as this unit moves here, we can then trace 1, 2, 3 into here, then crossing this Allied bridge and back across and away. So I should have moved that unit with that movement method. Now, fortunately, we've done a check on this. So that was a 1-to-1 odds one, wasn't it? But we didn't come out with a combat, so no harm done there. Would the unit have moved with any other movement method though? This is the thing. Just let me have a look. Yeah, so just having a deeper look into that. I moved the unit here, but there was an option to move here. And I just started to think, well, that blocks off this road, supply trace, so is Warosh okay now? So 1, 2, 3 into here. So, and then across the bridge, he can't come back across that bridge, trace supply, but because of the Bastogne situation, he can trace down into Bastogne and then away. Well, wait a minute, can he? I know you can't see further south there, but these 53rd Corps units, ooh, that's quite interesting then. Hang on a sec, this needs a more looking at. Okay, so just zoomed right out there, and again, let's just say this guy, well, when he's there, let me see what Roche, yeah, one, right, can't trace across this bridge, can't trace through here, so that's fine. So if it goes there, we know there's a problem. If he was to go there, 1, 2, 3, onto this road here, cross the Allied bridge, can't go back across, okay, down into Bastogne. Now he could go down this way, but that reaches a detachment in a German bridge in a German town, so that's not good. So into Bastogne, coming out this way, he can't go back up there because he can't reach that hex, and he can't come down this road because of this. So, okay. So in actual fact, does that mean these guys can't trace supply right now? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Oh, that brings up another spanner in the works then. Oh, don't tell me. Because there's a rule that's quite hard to sort of, well, you don't really think about it very often. Like, Allied units can't move into a hex where they can't then trace supply from, isn't it? Oh, starting to think I wish I hadn't looked into this now, because if that's the case, and unless of course these 53rd Corps units have moved since these guys moved, that would be okay. You wouldn't think me taking Bastogne there, or, well, not taking, actually these units have been in there for long enough. It's the 3rd Corps units, wasn't it? So have they moved into a position where they can't trace supply? 1, 2, oh, hold on. These units can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And at this hex. These infantry units, however, 1, 2, 3, 4, they can't. Are they advanced? Oh dear. Don't tell me. I thought this was going to be a nice quick impulse and get this next video out to you. Right, hang on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look back on things here. Although I suppose the saving grace could be it's rule 10.6, and it says an allied unit may not end its movement. Hi all. Right, okay, I got cut off there back then. That's another couple of days that went past since that last bit of recording. Because somebody came to the door at that time and I never got back, and I've been too busy to get back. So I've just sat down just now, opened up the rule. Well, actually, the rule book was open because I was in the middle of reading you 10.6, Allied movement supply restriction. An Allied unit may not end its movement in a hex from which it cannot trace supply. But then there's an exception. An Allied unit that starts its move unable to trace supply and is unable to move to a hex from which it can trace supply is not bound by this restriction. So at first when I read that, I thought, well, okay, if they've been out of supply anyway, I can still move them, but you can't move them as normal, because what you've then got to do is get them back into supply, if I'm reading that correctly. An allied unit that starts its move unable to trace supply and is unable to move. So if it was unable to trace supply and it was able to move, it would be bound by this restriction, and it would want to be reaching a hex where it can trace supply. However, what happens if it can't actually reach it? It can move but can't actually reach a hex? Well, I don't know. That would probably be a tricky situation to come up with, but it's still possible. However, I've got away with this, I think, because I've looked back on everything. Started panicking obviously because these infantry units were in here, the armoured units were in here. Now at the moment the armoured units can still trace supply by going 1, 2, 3, 4 onto this road and away. Now these units moved in to make this attack before this unit came down. So let me just put now, I think he was here, wasn't he? Because we were going to go 1, 2, or 1, 2. He could come here or here, couldn't he? So this is what we're back at, trying to move to try and stop the supply, because this all came about because of Ardennes and then La Roche. I'm going to get myself in a right mess here if I don't watch. But I had to go back. I mean, the knock-on effect from Ardennes to La Roche to down here in these allied units not able to trace supply, that's what I've had to come back to. These units moved here. They made this attack after these units had come down here. These units came down here, and then I think it was my next impulse, and we then went and made that attack. And I thought after looking back, and I thought, oh no, that's it. We've made a mess, because now they've moved into a hex that can't trace supply because of these units down here. We can't get supply down this bit because of these units. But because this unit hasn't moved down yet, he's not had an impulse yet. This happened before that, and I know that's all messy, and some of you are probably switching off thinking, right, this is too much. But at the moment, even if this guy's advanced half the combat, because they advance from this hex into this hex, they can at the moment go 1, 2, 3, 4, or in fact, no, they don't even need to. From where they are, they can trace in here. I mean, they can actually, they could trace up here, across the bridge here, down and away, or they could go down here, up and across the bridge. They can't obviously come down here because he's 53rd Corps unit, and that's what my panic was. So when they made that move, they were still able to trace supply. Now, when this unit then, I mean, like I say, this is the latest impulse of the Germans, wasn't it? Well, we're finishing off with the support card impulse, but this was the main impulse. And I think I'd initially moved him to here. Right, I'm going to have to just remind myself of that situation. But we've resolved this part. These guys moved legally, I believe. They moved into position, they attacked the unit, and where they moved into, they were still able to trace allied supply at that time. So they've not broke that 10.6 rule. Now that's a hard rule to remember. I mean, most of the game up until now, it's irrelevant. well, maybe not irrelevant, but most of the time you're moving your allied units in a place that there's no issues with their supply for them. But because we're starting to get a bit more aggressive here and starting to fight back and move into areas, and because these units have come along, some units are coming down, that might shut off supply to us. And then these guys are now going to get their supply shut off with the infantry units anyway, because this infantry is going to have moved down to here. I think it's here it ends up, because I think this is the hex that's the problem, but he can move into here. But I'm going to go back and look at that, but as far as I'm aware, that situation's okay. Okay, I think I can see what happened. This unit actually started here, and I made some comment about thinking you guys haven't told me that I've opened up supply issues to La Roche, but like I say in the clip, you've not actually seen this part yet, so maybe you would be getting on to me and saying, Grant, you've opened up supply. So I move him from here to here with movement method, what do you say, 5, it's infantry move, yeah, infantry move adjacent to an allied DP hex. So he doesn't care about getting near his army objective. All he's want to do is get adjacent to an allied DP hex. So I done that, I made that move, not really thinking about La Roche at all, not really thinking he was a unit that was protecting the supply issues, but he is now. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to go over that again, it's because I think we open up this hex here, isn't it? If he moves there, and then they can trace one, well, sorry, if he goes there, 1, 2 into there, then they trace through here and away. So this is what started it all off. But then I realised I did have a move into here, still adjacent, so still following movement method 5, and now was that then an issue? No, it's still a problem, isn't it? Because they can come over here. Right, give me a second. Okay, yeah, just catching up again. I suddenly realised, and this was what opens up the issue here, because I realised that I still think La Roche can be traceable by going 1, 2 into here, crossing this bridge, and okay, he can't come back across here because that unit's there, but then I figure he can go into Bastogne, come out of Bastogne, and then trace down here, and then I'm like, wait out, can't do that, can't get past here because of these 53rd Corps units. And that sets up the panic where I've moved them into a position where they can't trace supply, because with that guy down there now, these infantry units cannot trace supply, I don't believe. So this unit moving down here is okay. Supply is not traceable to La Roche. So this is the move that he should have made. I had him there, but that's where he should have made. We did a attack determination, no attack appeared, and that's what should have happened. So I think I'm back up to date now. This is the second impulse for the Germans, because this was a support card, which is the 58th, and I don't think we've managed to move anything yet, haven't we? It's just, this is what's, yeah, we were trying to move the unit out, sorry, I zoomed right out there, it's just off camera. We were trying to move the unit out of Ardennes. Oh, well, maybe that's going to be okay now then. Right, so I tell you what, best plan now is to just go back and start looking through the possible movement methods right from the beginning again. I don't think I'd move deeply into it, but let's just start from the scratch again. Yeah, okay, it's all coming back to me now. The first move that I was going to consider was cause surround. Moving this unit 1, 2, 3 round the back, surrounding this 30 Corps unit in Marche. And then we found that Houghton had supply, could get allied supply traceable to it, but I think that's because this unit was here. So let's have a look now. Can allied supply be traced to Houghton? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can get on this road, and this was the problem. He could come along and then back along because that unit was up there. You know, he was here, so he could do it and then trace supply. But now, because that unit's down there, they'll not be able to trace supply to Houghton now. So 1, 2, 3, 4 onto this road, across this allied bridge, can't go back across that way, down at Bastogne, and then we figured we were okay with the Bastogne situation, but we are not because of the 53rd Corps units down the bottom. So this unit now looks like it could make that move, as long as there's no other restrictions. And supply can't be traced up that way to Houghton. There's no gap in between these two units. You can't come across the Sunbridge River. You can't come across into here. So, yeah. So after all that, I believe this is a legal move. This unit moving out of Houghton, and with movement method 3 causing surround, he will leave a detachment in Houghton. Okay, let's try and move on. We've got to get this impulse finished. Yeah, just glancing back at that movement method 4 open supply line, and I did talk about it. It didn't look like any of these units could help. There's this Fuhrer Brigades unable to trace supply at the moment, the LVIII units and the 2nd Panzer units there. These other two are okay because they can reach Houghton, which seems to be the target. And I was just looking by that, and the main reason for this problem is this unit moving into this town. So I hope you guys have got that right in saying that that unit didn't leave a detachment there when it retreated. Or, well, there's no going back from that one. I'm just going to have to take that one on the chin if John Butterfield comes back and says, oh no, retreating units still leave detachments, then I'm afraid we're just going to have to let that one all go because, well, unless it comes back soon, maybe there is a fix. But I think if that unit wasn't there, and we still had, well, mind you, it would have been adjacent to the town. We didn't have a unit in the town, so yeah, okay. I mean, trying to trace supply for the Germans now, it's not that relevant anyway, but it's it will become relevant, shall we say. Right, okay, so it doesn't look like we can help with the supply to the units, and there's nothing else I can see that's jumping out at me. So let's move on. So movement methods 5 to 9, the infantry, well, we've already moved that one. The other one's the one that's dispersed, isn't it? That's the only other infantry unit I've got. So yeah, so we're going to move straight on to 10 to 13 then. Okay. Okay, number 2, can't move the arrows. Started thinking at first he could get 1 hex closer, but this hex is going to be 1 hex closer. His army objective, he can reach that. He's also still adjacent to an allied unit, but remember the old tactical adjustments where he wants to be in an empty hex, so he would tactically adjust back to this empty hex. So he can't get closer. Now, is that right, Grant? Yes, that's right. He won't make that move because he's going to tactically adjust. Right, okay. So, and he's already adjacent, well, can't infiltrate, he's on his own, and he's already adjacent to an allied unit, so he's done there. And then Unit 3 is the one just above him, so again, probably the similar situation, can't move the arrows. He's in between the two units, to be honest. He's also causing that unit to be surrounded now as well, which we've got to remember. So, yeah, he's not going to move, is he? It'd be 1, 2, breaking zone 3, 4, 5. He could go into Houghton, but that's not closer. No, it's the same distance, and he would be breaking the surround on that guy. So my guess is he doesn't move either. He's already adjacent to an allied unit, so he stays put as well. So yeah, that's it. So let's have a quick look. What was the only 3 units? Well, the dispersed unit. No, hold on. We've got one in the reserves, haven't we? We've got one in the reserves, so he might come into play. So we already moved one of them the last time, didn't we? And that rule, step 4, we're on the 21st, well, we're on the 22nd now, so mech units come into play with that rule. Step 4 of the German unit activations. Place eligible active reserve units on German detachment markers. And infantry is eligible on the starting of the 18th and mech units on the 21st. So yeah, because if you remember rightly, we put this is how this unit got deployed with that step 4. So yeah, well, we're on to that now. So that happens before we check for any attacks. So let me have a look at that. Yeah, there does seem to be a few that would be allied proximate to this one. I think maybe I looked at this one before. From these units approximate to here, 1, 2, 3, 4. But one of the conditions is it's not adjacent. The detachment is not adjacent to a non-bracketed German unit. So that is the case there. This is a German non-bracketed unit. This one up here is the same, which I think this guy at Rochefort is proximate. So looking at detachments, they're all actually got non-bracketed German units adjacent to them. So we can kind of knock them away from that. Now, there are some down here, however, it does need to be in the army, doesn't it? So these would be 7th Army detachments, because the detachment marker is in the reserve unit's army. A detachment is in the army matching that of the closest on-map German unit. So, and obviously it's the 5th Panzer Army we'd be looking for. That's a reserve unit. So these are 7th. These are within the 7th Army. These detachments. So they're not going to count. And there's 2 or 3 others that are in towns, but I can't see allied units proximate. Obviously that would be picked up when moving the units, because supply, if allied unit can get to it, then more likely supply can get to it. Well, this guy, he can't get across the bridge, so 1, 2, 3, so he's still not proximate to Houffalize, for instance, because there's a German bridge in the way. Yeah, okay, so I don't think that reserve's going to come in with that. Now, there is a chance of an attack, however. So let's just check up on the 9.5, determining attack. So checking unit 2 first. So there's a possible attack on this, and he gets support from that unit. So it's 5 against 3. He's got an IP, so that's 5 against 4, but he's in a clear hex. So that's going to knock him back down. So it's going to negate his IP, and he's not adjacent to an allied supplied unit. So where did I get 5 from? That's clearly 6, Grant. Okay, it's 6 against 3. I can't see the numbers, obviously, or my math's terrible. Well, we know that. So 6 against 3, +1 for the IP, -1 for the clear hex. 6 against 3. So the odds are 2 to 1. However, we've also got that reserve, which needs to be considered. There's no support card anymore, so we don't need to concern ourselves with that. But the reserve, let me remind myself. Yeah, we've got to consider a reserve unit, because it can go in either of these hexes, and probably this is going to be its target hex, because it can still trace reserve supply from that hex. And it's an empty hex, so I'm sure that's where it'll come if it does come out. So that bumps up now. It's only a 2 strength unit in the reserve, so that would be 8 to 3. So it's not quite getting it's still 2 to 1, or above 2 to 1, but not quite 3 to 1. So we're going to have a dice roll, and is there any modifiers? Elite units. He's an elite as well. That would have been the only one that I think they would have maybe got. Yeah, because we don't have a support card. So it's 2 to 1 odds, but no modifiers. Is that right, Grant? Yes. Right, a 5. It's not too bad. Chance of that one, maybe. Cancel of less than 2 to 1, or only defender elite. Well, the defender is elite, but so are the attackers. and it is greater than 2 to 1. Yeah, so this is a go. So, okay, so these units are going to attack. And now we draw the card first before the reserve, don't we? Right, let's get this done properly, Grant. Try and get through this and this whole next video part. It's been ages since you've looked at anything. Well, assuming you guys that watch it keep on top of it. It's been a while since I've managed to get something out of there, but okay, yeah, so draw combat tactic. Now this is going to happen before we're adding that reserve unit. So let's see what we get. Okay, it's the 58 core supplemental card, and it's infantry infiltration. Well, that's been another good draw for us, Martin. I don't think that's well, in actual fact, at the moment, but it's going to bring the reserve in anyway. But it would grant these guys a flank if there was no other unit, and they're not actually flanking. But the reserve, I'm pretty sure, is coming into here, which then would make it flanking. So that's right, infantry infiltration. If the defenders are on town, defenders considered flanked. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to help them apart from another chip pool, because that reserve is just about to arrive. So there's no support card to add to the combat tactic from there. Add active German reserves, 12.21. So the hex is adjacent. German reserve supply can be traced. Won't cause overstacking. If more than one, place a unit in a hex causing the defender to be surrounded. Ooh, I don't think we can get. That does make sense, mind you, but I don't think we can get reserve supply from there, can we? No, we cannot. No, so that's not an option. That's not an option. That's not an option. Remember, it's got to be reserve supply, so we can't. Any Arizona controls, make that not happen. So, and then after that, then a hex not across a river. Well, there's none of them. Then in an empty hex. Yeah, so it is what I said. So this guy is going to come in as a reserve and go in there, attack, joining the attack. Yeah, okay, so now let's get some odds worked out. So I think it's still the same, isn't it? It's 8. Yeah, it's 8 to 3. So still only 2 to 1 odds, or it's greater than 2 to 1, but I always say bang on the odds, but I think there are a couple of chits. I think it's maybe more the greater than 1 to 1 or something like that. I'm not sure there's any chits that would just say greater than 2 to 1. Maybe there is. I need to keep my eye open for that. Maybe that's possible, because although I'm saying it's 2 to 1, it's actually slightly greater than 2 to 1, but not quite 3 to 1. Yeah. Okay, Grant, get on with that. Right, 3 units. That's 3 chits. 1 for elite, 4. 1 for the infantry infiltration is 5. So 2 to 1 odds, 5 chit pools. Now we have an IP. I think this is similar odds to what the attack we had the last time. We didn't have an IP at the time, although we are in a clear hex this time, so there is that extra bit of risk. So let me see if there's anything I might want to play. What I feel, is there a great risk to losing that unit? Okay, a lot of thinking again about what I was just looking about what I'm wanting to use the other cards for. I've got 4 cards out of my 6 that I've got a definite use for. Yeah, and one of them, which I thought I was going to do, I might actually be doing something different. I'll just quickly show you down here. I talked about my 8 core card. I mean, it's only 1 unit can repair. It's this one, but it goes from a 2 strength to a 4 strength. Another guy that could be repaired, but he's in low supply. In fact, he's unable to trace supply. I've kind of I think I'm kind of giving up on these units, which is not great because they're all surrounded now, they're all in lots of trouble. I mean, unless the third corps can start coming down to help, I mean, they're going to go out of supply on the next day, and then, but once these units start moving, then we've got to concern ourselves a wee bit about Arwelin, you know. However, I talked about deploying the 12 corps units. Maybe I should deploy them down. Well, I don't know. I might not actually be able to get them down here. I think they'd probably. Nah, sorry, it's off camera. But I think I'd said about down here, but I suppose that would help coming this way as well. Anyway, I thought something after noticing this situation down here that, and a more important thing could be, because we've decided, well, we've realised that these third corps infantry units are unable to trace supply at the minute. Yeah, these other units can. How about moving that armoured unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down into this hex here? I mean, it's risky, it's only 2 strength, this unit's 5, and if they activate, then that'd be 10 against 2, which is 5 to 1 almost, which is a bit scary. But this could be kind of important down here regarding the supply for the third corps, you know. It's not great though, is it? I've used my any one unit move, yeah, I think I used that early, didn't I? Okay, well, I think it comes down to either playing my core artillery here, or possibly the no command card for air power, or, which I think I just decided to do and not play anything. It's not, I mean, okay, I want the result to go in my favour, yes, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if this guy lost his IP and retreated 1 hex, even 2 hexes back into Rochford, so that's D5. They're only getting 5 chip pools, so you know what I mean. So I think we'll go with this. So 2 to 1 odds and 5 chip pools. So let's get the 5 chips. Well. What did I say? I was worried about D5. I've got D4. The first hex, the first chip. I mean, okay, it's a hit to him, but they earn a clear hex, so it's a D2. I thought this one was going to go wrong as well because it's City Forest D-2 on the front side, but only goes to Woods Broken on the back side. The attackers are elite, less than 3-1, another hit to them, and then only attacker combined arms. So that's 5 chits, 2 to 1, yeah. So there we have it. So 4 hits to us, 2 to them. 1 goes away for the IP, so that's down to 3. So yeah, we're just surviving, aren't we? Retreat, step loss, dispersed, and Rochford. I think we've got to go to Rochford though, haven't we? It's not good, is it? And what's the disperse in Rochford? It still means the other unit won't be dispersed. Right, looking for that. Looking at the wrong bit. Units stacked with dispersed units may retreat only 1 hex. Yeah, so it's not quite so bad. And we are nearing the end of the day, aren't we? So yeah, retreat, and then take a step loss. That's the 3 hits. And then, oh, the good thing is he only drops to a 2, doesn't he? And then he ends that retreat, because he retreated twice also. He's dispersed in Rochford. So it doesn't affect the unit, the other unit, full strength unit on top in Rochford, apart from if Rochford was to get attacked, he could only retreat 1 hex because of that. Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? Could have went better, but 2 hits on them. Quite like that. So, and we're not leaving unfulfilled hits, so they're going to have to take the 2 hits. So, yeah, let's do it. So, the first hit they've definitely got to take, and go to a 4-step unit or 2 3-step unit. Well, they're all 2-step. They're all got the same amount of steps in the hex, so it's just highest selector number. So it'll be the non-elite unit, the reserve. So he takes the first hit. Pretty sure they're probably going to take another hit, aren't they? Now, so second hit, if 1-step unit, disperse, otherwise roll a die. If the die is less than the whole value of the attacked hex, which is 0, so it can't be less than 0, or less than or equal to, sorry, less than equal to the whole value of the attacked hex, less than or equal to the steps in attacking units. So 2, 4, 5. So if it's less than or equal to 5, they take a step loss. If it's greater than that, they'll disperse. Okay. So less than or equal to 5. 7. So does that mean they're dispersing? I think it is. I think I would have rather they'd taken a step loss there, because the fact that their supplemental card's gone as well now means that they're unlikely to have another impulse. So that was greater than, let's double check that. If the die is greater than both values, disperse the attacking units. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Just wondering, that could be something to think about then. I don't know. Well, yeah, because they're not going to advance as well now, which is good. I'm just thinking, I can actually move this guy now at Marche while this unit's dispersed. I've got no cards to move the 18 core though. Dope. Oh well. So their 3 units become dispersed. Pretty sure that's right. That's that combat over. That's satisfied both the hits. And that card goes away. There's another card less in the draw pile as well. I'll take these chits out of it. And okay, and then the only last thing we've got to do, that's only the attack determinations, other, obviously, yeah. So the only other thing we've got to do is, there's only 1 unit that's not done nothing, and he's dispersed. We get to remove the disperse marker from him. So that removes the disperse marker. These obviously don't, because they've just had them placed this turn, so they get left as is. And that is it. So, right, hopefully we've come to the conclusion of this impulse. A lot of things going on, a lot of gaps in between me getting the chance to do anything, and then some issues cropping up. So hopefully I've got something to upload now. To be honest, it might be a big video now, because these last 2 bits, 2 or 3 little bits, have just kind of dragged into some issues in that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just checking the German draw pile. They've got 8 cards left. We've still got 6, so we need to watch that as well. Okay, guys. Hopefully, get a video for you now uploaded. I'll do that as soon as I pause just now, and I might even have a bit more time to record a little bit more. But we'll see. So I'll be back soon. Okay. Cheers.